hold on. Does
Shinya, would you
anyone
like
want to
to
talk about? Well,
would you like to
sorry.
share your screen, and would you like
Yeah,
to
of
start?
course. Of course. So actually, yeah. So this is a technical handover for mastering, right? Yes. So like I should explain everything I know about mastering, right? Okay. So backend engineer. So you're sorry, your name is Furkan. Am I
Furkan,
pronouncing
yes.
it correctly? Yeah, okay. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to
You're
meet you.
in CI, sorry, Verify group?
Yes, verify CI.
Okay, okay. I got it. Yeah, so you already know that how pipeline works in general, like, but you don't know
Yes,
about,
somehow.
okay, okay. So you don't know about, have you ever tried pipelines for merge requests?
I mean, I just tried last week the pipeline merge trains, but I couldn't achieve to work with my hobby project. But yeah, I mean, I don't know much about merge trains in the code level.
Oh, okay, okay, got it. So all right, got it. So I should explain from much pipelines for merge requests. Okay. So you know, this is a handover for merge trains, but merge train is not just an individual feature. It consists of like multiple subsequent features. One of them is pipelines for merge requests. Maybe you know this feature that it's basically you specify that only accept or rules to specify that. Oh my god, this document is so messy. All right, whatever. So for example, this job. This job has a only rule, and then it specifies that this job should be executed for merge requests. So with this annotation, it's that job is marked as a sorry, the job is included in pipeline for merge request, which is different from push pipelines. You know, like in general, you push your new commit to a branch, whatever it's associated with merge request, or it's just a branch, you get the pipeline. For example, when you push a commit to master branch, this build job is created, right? But merge request pipeline is created in different events. Sorry. Created by a different event. It technically triggered by git push, but it's basically associated merge request update asynchronous service. There's a worker called merge request refresh worker, refresh service, and this worker is invoked when git push happens to a merge request. And in this asynchronous process, this pipeline for merge request is created. Yeah. So this is one of the prerequisite to enable merge trains. Without this, for example, this like only merge requests, merge trains cannot be enabled. And the next feature is pipeline of merge result. And this also needs to be enabled in order to enable merge trains. This is basically, you need to go to project setting and enable the checkbox. Maybe I'm going to show you, I'm going to demonstrate how to enable merge trains later, and including these subsequent features. But basically, this feature, to enable this feature, you have to visit project setting. And this pipeline is basically similar to pipeline for merge request. So basically, it's created at the exact same event. When you push your commit to your branch, which associated with merge request, pipeline for merge request is created. But if it meets certain conditions, pipeline for merge result is created, which is more which is better, because it gives you much more accurate result, test result, because pipeline for merge result runs on prospected merge commit. Yes. Do you know that merge, there's an internal merge request refs in GitLab, for example, this one, left merge request / IID and /merge, or left merge request / head.
No, that's the first time I see this.
Yeah, so this is our internal Git ref, and the user basically is not aware of this internal refs. It's used for our purpose, the internal process. For example, pipeline for merge result, and we have a special ref here, like refs / merge request / IID / merge, which was introduced a couple months ago. And this commit, this ref is basically updated when you push a new commit to merge request. When you create a merge request, you branch off from a master branch, and then you push more commits onto the merge request. But your branch might be based on the old master, right? If you haven't rebased, and in the result, you get your pipeline runs on old master, so that the result of pipeline is not really trustworthy. And then a pipelines for merge result comes into play. When you push a commit to merge request, this refs merge request / merge is automatically updated even before you, someone maintainer clicks the merge button. This is a prospected merge commit, and it's generated by head of master branch and head of your future branch. So yeah, it's a prospected merge commit. And yeah, so that's pipelines for merge result. And then next, finally, we talk about merge trains. So have you ever used merge trains? Actually, it's enabled in www.gitlab.com. Sorry, www.gitlab.com. But you have never tried to update a blog or something?
No, actually, I mean, I tried to use merge trains in this week, and I couldn't make it because maybe because of I didn't use only merge request in my pipeline, so I never used it actually.
Okay.
Shinya, I think I also have a video on Unfiltered. I'll add it to the agenda, which shows
right.
how to enable it.
That's better. Yeah. Sorry, to be honest, I'm really confident to explain everything properly. So yeah, if you have a question, please let me know. So merge train is basically extended the future of pipelines for merge result. I said that pipelines for merge result runs on prospect to merge commit. That's great, right? And then imagine that there are a bunch of merge requests on a train in a one queue, and it's like a user scheduled to merge this merge request. Sorry, that's not great explanation. Here. Maybe this explains a bit
this
better.
is a good example.
Yeah, sorry, just read this. Like three merge requests A, B, and C are added to merge train in order, which creates three merge results pipelines that run in parallel. The first pipeline runs on the changes from A combined with the target branch. So like in this case, for example, master branch, the head of master branch. The second pipeline runs on the changes from A and B combined with the target branch. So merge request A is based on head of master and head of A. And the merge request B based on head of master and head of A and head of B. So it's a cascading prospective merge commit. It's a super complicated name though. The merge commit is cascadingly created for each pipeline for each merge request, and the third pipeline runs on the changes from A, B, and C combined with the target branch. So like C merge request, the pipeline for merge train runs on the head of master plus head of A and head of B and head of C. Right. There's a pipeline that B fails and it's removed from the train. Yeah, if the pipelines for B fails, it's removed from the train. The pipeline for C restarts with the A and C changes, but without the B changes. Yeah, this is a bit tricky.
And probably the previous pipeline were canceled, right?
So, let's say, come again?
Let's say pipeline C, the third pipeline is going on, and if the pipeline B fails while the third pipeline is going on, it will cancel, right? The third pipeline will be canceled, and the new pipeline for the C starts.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. These are visual illustration for this process. Or do you have a blog post? The link to the blog post?
Yeah, I'll add it here. I added it I sent it to Tal, but I'll add it here.
Where is it? Where is it?
Give me a minute, I'll find it.
There's a great blog post to explain these things. Oh yeah,
we can start the technical part of this if you want.
Oh really? Okay, that's great. So just yeah, what are you talking about? Is that this is a visual how what's going to happen if merge request 3, the pipeline on merge request 3 failed. It's basically dropped from the merge train, and then the next merge request 4 is restarted with merge request 1 and merge request 2 plus merge request 4. All right, so here's a brief technical overview of this, how this feature works, how pipelines for merge requests. Pipelines for merge requests is as known as detached merge request pipeline. So if you heard detached, it just imagine that it points to this feature. And it works like user pushes a new committee merge request, and the GitLab refreshes related merge request via refresh service. This is asynchronously processed via sidekick worker, and it creates a pipeline for merge requests via merge request create pipeline service. Yeah, so during this refresh process, it's create a pipeline. Create pipeline, yes, this one. And which calls merge request create a pipeline service. And it is called CI create a pipeline service. This is our core service to create a pipeline. You know, well, that's pretty much it. The next one is pipelines for merge results. This is basically created in the same process, same flow, but it's basically calls EE side of merge request create pipeline service. And here, it's basically, it's basically ensures that merge ref, internal merge ref, this one, so refs merge request /id merge. This process ensures that this prospected merge commit, it does exist before create a pipeline. And then if it exists, then create a pipeline on that ref. Yes. And the next merge train works. This is a bit more complicated. So you, sorry, I haven't finished editing this, but try to explain. So user clicks our merge train button in a merge request instead of our merge immediately button. And if it happens, it calls auto merge service and this service. Auto merge service is a central place to maintain all automatic merges. Today there are three types of auto merges. One is merge request, merge when pipeline success. And the second one is merge train. And the third one is add to merge train when pipeline success. The third one is kind of combined with the first and second process. And this, when user clicks a button, then execute its, this method is called, and which calls this subsequent service, auto merge train service. And then it's basically creates a database record. Here, it creates a new record in merge train stable, which has one-to-one relationship with merge requests. Yeah, then there is, simply put, if merge request, merge train is present, that means the merge request is on train. And when this database association is created, the process is called auto merge process. Auto merge service process. So this basically process what's on like processes merge requests on merge trains, and then it checks the details in this. Details are in this class. Refresh merge requests. This merge trains refresh merge request service. Though it basically checks that if the merge request has already had a pipeline for merge train, then it just waits for the pipeline to be finished.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. So every merge request has a merge train, right? So I mean, I thought there was only one merge train. It belongs to project, and each merge request has a car. I just imagined like that, and I just surprised. So that's why I am asking this.
It's very good question, and this is not the first time I'm asked, and it's I really understand your concern, and then so the answer is that basically merge trains, this record, yeah, this table is considered as metadata to your merge request. So this represents that which pipeline is pipeline from merge request to your specific merge request, and when the merge request was added to your merge train, and or target project ID and the status, like this merge request is currently waiting for pipeline to be finished, or if pipeline becomes stale, then this merge request should be refreshed on merge train, or something like that. It's a kind of metadata to each merge request. So yeah, that's a bit confusing point. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. But it is what it is today. Yes. So if there are 5 merge requests on a merge train, that means there are 5 merge trains record. Got it? Okay.
My connection was just dropped, but I can hear you right now.
All right. Yeah. What I said was just if there are 5 merge requests on a merge train, that means there are 5 records in merge train table, because it's just metadata to each merge request.
So do we store an order in these merge trains, or
yes.
just it is just ordered by create-that?
Yes. This is a single table is used for merge trains future.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I need to dig a bit more about this service, refresh merge request service. This is a bit complicated. Okay, let me try to explain this class. These are merge trains refresh merge request service. This service is to refresh all of the merge requests on a specific train. And yeah, so there's a hold on. Okay, so these are a couple of how should I say that? Exclusive lock process, but just disregard it. Basically, what it does is getting a first merge request in a merge train and refresh all of the merge requests from that pointer. And in this method, unsafe refresh, it gets all the following merge requests from the pointer and then runs this refresh merge request service. It does a bunch of evaluation and validation and the creating pipeline, etc. But it basically, like, in general, it refreshes each merge request on train. Yeah. And in this service, this refresh merge request service, like at first there are a bunch of validation happens. For example, if merge train is disabled on a project, then all merge requests are going to be dropped from train, or like there are a bunch of validations here. Like, for example, like mergeable state check. Like if like there's a merge request is on a merge train, but someone created a new discussion on a merge request, then like it depends on the project setting though. If like user can set up that if there's an open discussion, maintainers cannot merge the merge request. So in that case, this this check returns false, so that the merge request is going to be dropped from that train. And there are a bunch of other validations. For example, pipeline status check. When a pipeline finished, merge train, of course, has to evaluate that if the pipeline succeeded, and if so, then let's continue to merge it. Yes. And this service also ensures that each merge request has a pipeline for merge train. It basically that like the blog post we saw a visual illustration in a blog post that each merge request has a combined ref and pipeline, dedicated pipeline on runs on this combined ref. And up to 20 merge requests pipeline can run simultaneously. So here's a concurrency setup, the default concurrency. Today is basically, for example, if user added 20 merge requests on a train, all merge requests starts running the pipelines. And then when a pipeline finished, from the first queue, the merge request is getting merged, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and until 20. But if user added 50 merge requests on a merge train, the first 20 gets a pipeline, but the last 30 merge request doesn't get a pipeline immediately, because it's a kind of performance concern. If try to avoid the pipeline burst, because running a pipeline, sometimes running a lot of pipelines cost a lot of CI cost. So today we limit 20 at most.
So other 30 pipelines will be created, right? It is enqueued in somewhere.
Yeah. So let's say in this like a 50 merge request case, like at first there are like first 20 merge requests gets a pipeline, right? And if the first merge request is merged, then the number 21 merge request gets a pipeline. So it's always 20 merge requests get the pipeline. Yeah. So this.
I didn't mean that. Okay, 25 pipeline are just running right now, and there is a 21st merge request is created. So what will happen? I mean, it will it be created when a merge train is merged, or it is just dropped? I'm not sure if I could explain my question correctly.
Sorry, can you rephrase it, please?
Okay, so there are 20 merge trains running right now. There are 20 pipelines running, and there is 21st merge request is created right now. So there is no pipeline created for this, right?
Yes.
So what I mean, how about is the pipeline enqueued somewhere to be created later after an empty slot open?
Yeah. Basically, it's there are no enqueuing, like you guessed. It's basically that when the first merge request got merged, then this refresh service is called again. This is an asynchronous worker, and this service always ensures that there are always 20 pipelines run on this merge train.
Okay, I just understand. Okay, so this servers will create the new merge trains and the new pipelines. Okay, I just got it.
Yeah. So this service is super convenient. Just you call this service, then you can ensure that all merge requests are up to date. And so basically this service is called by many events. For example, when pipeline finished, or when merge request is dropped, or when merge request is added, or when project disables merge trains checkbox. In such event, this service is called to ensure that all merge requests on the merge train are fresh, up to date.
Cool.
Yep. And yeah, I think there are a couple of subsequent features like canceling pipeline if it's redundant, or but it's not really important. Just like please remember that this service is a single place to handle merge requests on train. So maybe I give you a funny example. So like I said, merge train is enabled on www.gitlab.com project, and sometimes it's stuck. Merge train gets stuck because of like a production incident. It basically relies on sidekick workers. So if sidekick worker doesn't work properly, then like system gets stuck. Like in that case, like here's a merge train channel, and then like I get the ping from the the employees that, hey, merge train on this project doesn't work, pre-check it, and then I do a investigation though. So my point is that wait, where is it? This one. If it's stuck, like I said, just call this service. This service is basically called by this auto-merge process worker. Like this just get a project, target the project, and then run this worker, project monitoring, and giving the first merge request on the train, you can get that the merge request, the pointer, this code, project merge trains active. Active means still on the train. There are two states, active and merged. Merged is already got merged, and active is still on the train. And the first, of course, and the merge request ID. And you just pass that to the merge request ID. Then auto merge service calls this service, refresh merge request service. Then it's examine all merge requests on the train. And then if it's stuck, it automatically resolves it. Yes.
I mean, if this hack fixed the stuck train, why not? Why don't a new merge request fix this stuck train? It will eventually run this service, right?
Yeah. That's also a good question. So it's related to this service, refresh merge request service. So imagine there are 3 merge requests on the train, and you add a new merge request to this train. So this is merge request number 4. When you add a merge request number 4, this service is called, but it doesn't refresh all of the merge requests. It refreshes merge request only, merge request 4, number 4 only. This merge request is a pointer. From which merge request do you want to refresh it? So if you add a merge request 4, from the refresh happens from the merge request 4, and then if there are 6 merge requests, right? And then pipeline finished on merge request 4, then this service is called, the pointer is merge request 4, and the refresh is 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3 is not concerned. It's a refresh.
We want to refresh from the merge request. We want to refresh from the first one.
Yes.
I see.
So this is the reason that you have to specify the first merge request on the train here, so that you check all of the merge requests. Yes, basically this the conceptual reason is that to reduce the process time, redundant process. It basically needs to process from the merge request got an event, something event, like pipeline finished or whatever things. So yes, it's designed like this way.
So is there any issue that aims to solve this stuck problem?
Yeah, this one.
Do we know? Do we know? Okay. So but do we know what's the cause?
I don't have a clear evidence, but I suspect that it's related to production incident. Like last time it happened a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, or something like that. But like at the same time, there's a production incident, so I basically suspect the thing.
Okay.
I committed these things, but I don't have a clear evidence. So what purpose in this issue is that why don't we have a cron worker to periodically check the health of merge requests on the trains, and if it's considered as a stuck, then just run this service. So it's automatically resolved. Sorry. Yes.
Shinya, I have a question.
Sure.
So we have a merge train, and we have a bunch of merge requests. Let's call them A, B, C, D, E, and they were all asked to be merged by sequence. So A was first and E was last. Let's say that one of the merge trains is faster than the previous merge request. So I have B and it gets merged before A. Is that possible, and what effect does it have?
No, it's impossible. Like there's a possibility that the pipeline for merge request B finishes earlier than pipeline A, but in this case, pipeline merge request B waits until merge request A's evaluation finished. So, like if merge request A got merged by successful pipeline, then merge request B almost immediately get merged if the pipeline also successful. And if merge request A got failed pipeline, then merge request B recreates a new pipeline for merge train because combined merge ref has to be recreated. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So just we walked through this code base, but yeah, I think that's our overview. Let's move on for now. If you have a question, please ask in the
No,
F
I mean,
channel.
I know it's a quite complicated issue, so that's why I mean, I'm not expecting to understand all of it, so that's why I don't ask too many questions, but I'm trying to ask specific questions for some parts. So it's really it was a really good wrap up for all of these features. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on. The issues. All merge trains issues are labeled this category, merge trains. So please check it. There are a bunch of issues, but I think nothing urgent at this moment. I think probably this issue is relatively high priority because sometimes the employees complains that, hey, merge request is stuck in www.gitlab.com. So to avoid that, maybe currently we manually resolve it, like running a script like this, but it should be automated.
Is this one of the reasons that we don't use merge trains in GitLab repo?
No,
GitLab project?
these are different reasons. So currently merge train doesn't support fork merge request. And GitLab project, our release project, accepts a community contribution, right? If we enable merge trains, we cannot merge their merge requests. So that's a problem. And there's an issue to fix it. It's allow pipeline run parent. Yes, this one. Yeah, there's an issue to tackle the problem. Just in case I paste here. And basically, when we ship to this feature, then we should be able to enable merge trains on www.gitlab.com. Yep. It's a category as a release. Probably we're gonna handle that.
Yes.
Yep. And Slack channel is, if March trains, please join this channel.
I joined.
Yep, this is a super important channel. And do we use this featuring?
Yeah, you already answered the question.
Right. March trains and www.github.com. And here's like there's a history on www.github.com that we tried to enable March trains for a couple of times, but we failed like first or second time, for first and second attempt. And because of that, we have an alert system. Like if March train doesn't work properly, then send a notification to this channel if March trains. And the alert system is basically here. It's super super simple, not simple, super, how should I say? It's basically like getting March trains records via before public API. And then since each March trains table has a duration, like how much time took to merge the merge request. And if it's unreasonably long duration, then it sends a notification. For example, duration of merge train, this like GitLab, this project exceeded the threshold. Merge duration is like almost 2 hours. Merge request URL, merge trains URL, merge train pipeline URL. And currently threshold is set to 50 minutes. Yeah. So for example, in this case, so this merge request, it's merged already. That's nice. But it took 2 hours to get merged until from when user clicked to add to merge train button till actually this merge request got merged. And basically all pipelines finishes within 20 minutes in this project. So it's weird, right? The reason is that, for example, in this case, if it's pipeline for merge train, the commit message is a bit different from the others. And then this commit message, merge branch, blah, 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 with ref, blah, 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 train, yeah. This style of commit message indicates that this pipeline is, or this pipeline was pipeline for merge train. And you can see that the same pipeline, pipeline for merge train runs twice. This is because one of the merge requests sitting in front of this merge request dropped, like a pipeline failure or something. And then this merge request had to recreate pipeline for merge request, pipeline for merge train again. So that it runs a second pipeline. This is a reason why sometimes merge request gets a long time to get merged. Like in this case, 2 hours. Like this kind of warning is, you can just ignore it unless employees.
We are developers. We ignore warnings.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but seriously, like sometimes you get a warning like this, but unless employees, especially like who working on www.github.com, like updating handbook or whatever things, unless they complain that, hey, my merge request is still on the train and doesn't get merged. Unless such complaints happens, you don't need to pay attention. Actually, it's going to be merged anyway. So yeah. At first, we were receiving a lot of complaints, like because previously everyone was able to just merge all merge requests immediately, but today they have to follow the merge trains. So it's a bit, it takes a bit of time to get their merge requests merged. But today I don't see a lot of complaints. So yeah. And by the way, do you have a Linux console access to production server?
No, I don't have. And actually, I don't want to take it if it is necessary, because it's really risky thing to have the production console, as far as I know. So maybe if there is something to stack, maybe I will mention to run these codes in production channel or backend channel to someone else run this.
Yeah. That's totally fine, and yeah, good practice. But I generally recommend you to get the production access because it's very helpful for daily debugging. Yeah, well, but it's up to you. Yeah, and I don't know, some old snippets. But like it's not really important. Just like a correcting matrix of merge trains, but it's not really important today. Just maybe what you need to know today is that this one. Like when, how, what you should do when merge request is stuck in www.git.com. And this is probably all you need to pay attention at this moment. And I think the incident doesn't happen so often. So yeah, but if it happens, please just ping me. I might be available around that time, so I can help you. Blog post and videos. Yep, it's worth reading this.
I will take a look.
Whoa. Okay. Maybe that's it from my side. Maybe we, like you work on any you work on issues on of merge trains. You have more questions. In that case, please ping me in issues or Slack.
Thank you so much for this explanation. I mean, as I just said before, I'm not expecting to understand that fully right now, but it is a great wrap up. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Shinya. Nathan walked me through the front end of this before, so I had like a little step up. I kind of knew what it did, but this like makes it so much clearer. So thank you so much.
Yep. If you have a question, please let me know. Well,
okay, then.
That's it.
Do anyone something to say? Okay.
Not really. Yep.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye.